So often we get caught in the cycle of this is the work that I know. And I just keep climbing a ladder and going down a path of work that I've always known. But if I ask myself, is it the work that I enjoy? I might have a different answer.
So this is such an important conversation to have. So many people spend so much of life going through the motions. Their heart may be tugging at something else that's more in alignment with the person they know themselves to be. But instead, they're just going through the motions. Sometimes it's easier to do, and sometimes, it's just what they've always done.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like more people in this past year, as people have been home or working from home and working differently and really asking themselves, like, is this who I am? And is this what I want to do? And I feel like more and more people are starting to ask that question and really see, like, could I be making more of an impact with my talents and my skills and my experience?
You said people need time to be intentional, and they've had a lot of it. Really, if you think about it, the past year, they've had a lot of time to do a lot of thinking.
You've had a lot of time, but I don't know how many people have really used it in a way to discover who they really are and what they really came here to do. I think there's been a lot of time to watch Netflix and maybe be outside and be with friends. But there's only so much you can do on your own as far as really digging into what are the pieces of me that I'm not leveraging in my work? Like, where am I really hungry for growth? Like, those are usually conversations. And so I don't know if enough people have been having those conversations to really get to the heart of the answer.
At the end of the day, you don't always want to be, 70, 80 years old and wondering, did I do and live this life that felt most fulfilling to the person I am? And did I leave anything on the table in that process? Did I not live fully enough? And while you're still at an age where you have time to make changes and adjustments, you're kind of challenging people to think about that. Think about the work that you're doing. Does the work that you're doing, does it matter? And if it doesn't, what's the impact of doing work that doesn't matter?
Right. And I think just to even back up, like, work is work on yourself. Work is, building growth in your home. Work is your community, and it's where you go, from whatever hours, 8 to 5 or, 12 to 6 to, receive payment. So work is a broader term. And I think it's just being able to look at, not only what have you always done, but what do you really enjoy? Mm-hmm. And I think so often we get caught in the cycle of this is the work that I know. And I just keep climbing a ladder and going down a path of work that I've always known. But if I ask myself, is it the work that I enjoy? I might have a different answer.
And sometimes for people, the work that they enjoy, it may not even feel like work to them if they think about it. Maybe you work a 9 to 5, but when you're not there, you're an artist. Mm-hmm. And you only paint at home, like here and there. And if someone came to your home, they'd see all these beautiful paintings that no one else had a chance to see because you're not sharing it with the world. And I mean, whatever that thing is for everyone, it may look different.
Yeah. Exactly. And, and I think there's always that mindset too of like every hobby doesn't need to become your job, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's for those people who have this on their heart, like they feel this pull, like there is more I should be doing with my day. And these things that I am shuffling into the sides, into the margins of my day should really take up most of my day. Mm-hmm. And so having that realization, and it's hard sometimes to take that step because we have a lot of expectations about in the order in which we do things and the time of our life that we do things and where we should work. And we have a lot of expectations that we're constantly trying to work with or work against. And I think the part that I'm starting to get excited about is people are starting to make that connection of, and I think kind of like what you touched on is like, what if I don't step out though? Like, what is the cost if I don't fill my day with these things that I enjoy? And what I'm trying to help other people see is that the work that matters is the work that will change the world. Like, we need those unique gifts in each of these unique settings, whatever that might be.
Do you feel that sometimes people will find themselves paralyzed in where they are because the thing that they find the most enjoyment in, they may not see someone else succeeding in that space? And sometimes there may not be a roadmap for where your dreams lie. Sometimes you may be the one that has to have and find the courage to do the work to you that matters, put it out there, and hope that the realest parts of who you are connect and resonate with the world.
The hardest part is that you're putting yourself out there. And like you said, oftentimes you're having to be a person who goes first and does something a little bit differently. I just worked with a sales executive who, really wants to bring compassion into the sales process. And so it's not always even that you want to do something someone's never heard of. It's just that you have a unique lens on it that we need right now for the problems that we're experiencing. And so you're so right in that people don't have a blueprint, but what that requires is trust in self and belief that you came here with a unique set of gifts to help us right now.
And sometimes I think people may have a vision of what it means to change the world and what it means to be impactful. You can sometimes just change the world by having the courage to just show up as you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, being your authentic self, I think, because in a world where so often people are hiding behind masks and people are just copying somebody else's blueprint, to have an experience with someone in a genuine, authentic way, people can feel that connection. I mean, that's part of the work that I do when I do workshops with leaders, is getting them to talk about real things. Who are you? What do you like to do when you're not here? What are you passionate about? And feeling that connection, sounds so simple, but when you are working together every day and needing to make decisions with each other and sometimes disagreeing and things like that, being able to come back to that place of we're connected and I understand you is so important. It's not about saving the whales or trying to be the next Oprah. Those are fine things. But there's a lot of things that happen in between there, right? That are important. And the impact is really about your authenticity. The impact is really about you doing what you came here to do and being who you came here to be. That is powerful in itself. It isn't necessarily about who you saved or who you help. Is that you have something on your heart and you are executing it. You're following through on it. And that is shifting. Part of the work is you, right? It's not just about getting that dream job. Part of the work is going on that journey with yourself and understanding what are some of those blind spots for you. Where are you holding back? Where are someone else's expectations getting in your way? And starting to build a more solid foundation to support yourself. And that's where a lot of the personal development work is so helpful for people. I like to use creativity with clients and teams to use imagery because oftentimes when people try to articulate what it is they want, they just know they have this feeling, right? So I like to use images and have people select images that resonate with where they want to go. And then they can say well, I picked this picture of a beach, but really it's because I love to travel and I haven't been doing enough travel in my work. And there was a time where I would travel once a month, and it starts getting people to put words and kind of figure out what they mean, because we're a lot of times just so much in our head. Like I said in the beginning, we've had a lot of downtime, but I don't know how we've been using that downtime. And some of that is because you need someone else to ask a question that sparks that insight.
Sometimes people find themselves pursuing certain career paths because their parents or their family said, oh, you're supposed to be a doctor. Oh, you need to be an attorney. Oh, you need to be this. And that line of work, I mean, it matters in the sense that, people do need doctors and they do need an attorney to call. But if your heart isn't in that space, how do you navigate okay, yeah, the work I'm doing, it matters to other people and I'm helping other people, but that work is not in alignment with my heart.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things. Is like once you recognize that you have something on your heart, that your job has become a paycheck, security, and not necessarily something you're excited to do every day. I know for myself, it was baby steps of getting courage in, assessments like Clifton Strengths or Enneagram that were reflecting back to me, this is who you are. This is what's really amazing about you. Also, here are some of your blind spots. And so that's where I kind of started my journey to understand where might my gifts be a better fit. It's also helpful to be a part of, networking groups and just communities of people who are doing what you might be interested in doing. So you have that community and that energy that's kind of propelling you forward. And then also for myself, I needed a coach to be able to take the leap to step out of the corporate world and onto my own, because I knew what I wanted to do or what I felt called to do, but I wasn't quite sure how do I get there? What's that gap in the middle? And so I needed someone to ask me the hard questions and shine a light on the areas where it's like, you still don't fully believe or you still don't fully trust yet. So this might hold you back.
You mentioned that we need more people solving the problems. This was in your podcast. More people solving the problems they were put on this earth to solve. And that has the power to change our world. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
I think there are people who are alive during this time who have gifts for the social challenges that we see, the justice challenges that we see, local government, national government, leadership in tech. There are people who have specific talents and specific wisdom that I think can help in these unique instances, in these different contexts. And if they just continue to follow what the person's doing next to them or stay on that path that their parents took, they will never know the power of the gifts that they were sent here with. To me, that is why we continue to see some churn of the same challenges, as we keep trying to address some of these challenges with the same solutions, the same formulas, and we need new, fresh insight and perspective.
So really, more people should try to live life outside the box.
Yes.
Yes.
Go of the status quo.
Yes.
And be your authentic self.
A whole host of things probably keep people in the box. I mean, sometimes when you're younger, it may be financial. Like if you depend on your parents financially in a different way, you may have more fear and anxiety about breaking out and doing it on your own if you rely on them in a different way. Maybe it takes more years to become independent and sufficient in a way where those perspectives don't matter. And then some people that you rely on, maybe they only have the blueprint that they've seen, and their expectation of you is to live under that blueprint too, because the path that you feel most called to do may not be a path that even they understand. Like there's that fear that they can't help you when you get there because they don't know what that is themselves.
Right. And that resonates. I feel like I was always a risk taker or just trying a different path. And my parents, definitely were like, hey, so you have a business degree. That would be great if you could just get a job and stay with it. And I was, working in furniture sales and a nonprofit, and they're just like, just get to the business job, please, And then I got to tech and they were like, whew, okay, good. This is great. Stay there. And then I was like, yeah, so I think I'm ready to move on. They're like, oh.
And some of that is probably the road less traveled is not always a road that seems safe.
Yes.
Safe. Yeah.
And I think, and that, my experience has taught me is that not everyone is here to take a risky path. I have friends who are in the same job since they've been out of college, And it works wonderful for them, right? And so it isn't always that you have to. I think for me, it's that the people that do feel called to, I don't want them to miss that opportunity. It's steps you take. It's not something that happens overnight. And like I said, for myself, it was beginning to figure out what are my talents and being able to talk about them and what are some of my blind spots and weaknesses. All of those little steps brought me to a moment that said, it's time. And so, it definitely can begin with volunteering somewhere that makes you feel really great because that's an interest, or, diving into a hobby that you really love. There's many ways that I just did things while I still had a full-time job because I needed to start feeding that side of myself and experimenting and playing with what does it look like for me to enter into that space or be in that creative flow.
And don't ignore what that little voice is, like that little pull to do something different. Figure out what that is and spend some time there, even if it's internally or with yourself, to understand what is this thing that I'm feeling pulled to do. And maybe ask yourself, why do I not feel that what I'm doing now is in alignment with my passion? Why do I feel this restlessness? And you might, feel some discomfort being in this space of not knowing, but sometimes the work that you spend there can lead to this different, more fulfilling path too.
Yeah. And I think you just have to start. You have to take a step. And because that one step will lead to another thing, but you will never get to that second one without the first, right? And so that's why I like experimenting, trying with things, because I think as long as your mind says nothing else is possible, or there's no way that I could make money doing what I enjoy, you will never see opportunities or possibilities to do that. As long as your mind is closed to it, you will never see it. But the minute you start going, well, maybe that is possible. Maybe I can, explore my hobby on the weekends and see where that takes me. Like, you just never know what that one step will take you to then next. And that's just part of the process, is just beginning and not feeling like you have to have it all figured out at first. When I was contemplating, like 6 months before I left my job, I was like, I don't get how I'm going to decrease my salary. And then where is this other money going to come? Like, where is it coming from? I don't see it. I don't understand. Right. But the minute I did, my husband and I own a business, and we looked at the numbers, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can actually start paying myself a salary. I'd been working for free for 3 years. And I was like, I didn't see that coming, right? And so often we think we understand all the variables and we think we know. And so we get stuck in I just don't see how it's going to come to life. Just following that passion and then just trusting that the rest will unfold as you need, and you will meet people and find resources as you need. I know it's hard. I mean, I know it's a leap of faith in some regard, but there's something really unique about people who have those kinds of dreams on their hearts, and I just want people to live them.
You tell people how they can find your podcast. Where can they find you if they would like to continue the conversation?
Yeah, so my podcast is Catalyst for Conversation, and that's on Spotify and Google and all the places you find podcasts. And I'm pretty active over on Instagram at shelby.m.wagner, and then also catalystforconversation.com for just more information and connecting. And
also you've got the link tree on your Instagram. So if they're wanting to find the podcast, they can find them in your link tree too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And follow you while they're there. Of course. So thanks so much for joining me today. And thank you for joining us for Let's Chat. I'll see you next time. Take care.